So we learned something about never being on defense with these things, right?
Yeah, we do. And I want to tell you something, Neil. I've been watching TV this week, and I think people have misread this. This is not as easy as it looks. John F. Kennedy's tax cut, that was historic. That was unusual. He was opposed by Republicans and Democrats. The Republicans, the conservatives at that time, said you can't lower taxes unless you lower spending. It was all about this mounting deficit this mounting debt. So they were opposed to it. And the Democrats, led by Harry Byrd in the House and by Al Gore Sr. in the Senate, were totally opposed. They'd heard word from the Kennedy team. It's called Starve the Beast. The Kennedy team said if we lower taxes, they will have to lower spending. And the Kennedys believed that if you lower the corporate tax, you're going to increase business investment. So Kennedy was opposed, and I hate to say this, but the only way it really passed is he was assassinated, and became highly controversial to oppose anything that Kennedy
that he would have wanted. No,
so
you're quite right. And ultimately, they got 21 Republican votes in the Senate, 108 in the House. But tragically, you are right. A lot of that was because of his assassination months prior. But there was an effort on the part of Ronald Reagan to duplicate that. Ironically, he too was shot in the effort to get the first wave of taxes. Obviously, he survived that assassination attempt, but he did work the sympathy and the support he got after that to push these taxes through. I think they would have gotten through regardless. But he pitched it in a different way at the time, that everyone would benefit and that everyone's boat would rise. But he didn't get nasty about it. And he never got sucked into the media gotcha game of class warfare. How did he pull that off?
Yeah, that was a different time, too.
Indeed,
See, we got to say that. But that, too, I want to urge, was a lot harder than it looks. For example, he did, as you pointed out, get that quick tax cut in 1981. But the Tax Reform Act took place in 1986, after he had been reelected president of the United States, carrying every state in the Union except for Minnesota, and almost got Minnesota. So it ain't easy. I once asked Reagan about his legacy, and I thought he's going to talk to me about the end of the Cold War, but he said his proudest moment was the passing of that Tax Reform Act, where he reduced the 15 brackets to 3, which is what Trump is trying to do. So it's more difficult than it looks. I hope it works. But
yeah, and by the way, you talk about challenging your own base. I mean, I can remember Wall Street Journal editorials, the ones I was reading when I was 2 years old because I was so young, where they were saying, Mr. President, you're going too far, much like the mainstream media and a lot of Democrats have said to John Kennedy, Mr. President, you're going too far. So any parallels here to President Trump and how he makes this pitch today? Today, talking to manufacturers, of course, who would benefit from a much lower rate because they tend to pay at that top rate. But what does he have to do?
Yeah, well, the point is it absolutely works. And Reagan talks about that in his own memoir. He created 18 million jobs, so it works. And when Reagan came to office in 1981, the top bracket in income tax, personal income tax, was paying 71 or 73% in taxes and was accounting for 17.9% of the budget. When he left office, he reduced that to 28% taxes, and they were paying 25% of the budget. So it works. They get more money with
But he never let
taxes.
anything ruffle him. He might have personally, you know him better than I, but he might have personally winced at the criticism, but he never let people see that. How did he deal with the people who ripped him a new one on this whole thing?
Yeah, he was a good actor because he felt it and he had to feel it. But he did the thing, and Kennedy did the thing that Trump could do. He took it to the people, took a national tour, and got them to phone their congressman. Trump could do that through Twitter. So it's possible, but it is a new age. It's hard to compare apples with apples.